Good to see you.
All right there, Revenants. Welcome back to Code Vein and the Road to 100. And I know it's been a minute, but we're back. And so we left off last time here in the cathedral, and we were talking about balance. So this fight here with Aurora is, we will talk about stage 1 or phase 1 or part 1 or the first part or whatever you want to call it here today. And the interesting thing is that you can definitely be invincible here with anything higher than a 160 on all of your elemental resistances here. But as you can see, we're at a 166, and if we pair up with EO here, we turn into a 250, so we get about a 94 balance added to our value here, which is pretty great. However, there's a mechanic in Vein that if it's a knockdown, if an attack is a knockdown, it's always going to be a knockdown. There's nothing you can do to mitigate a knockdown. If it's a light stagger where your character kind of like bends down on one knee, those you can mitigate occasionally. But then there's other attacks where they don't do that to you at all, like the monkeys, where they just kind of go through you and you can continue attacking. So the interesting thing is here for Aurora, you might think that, well, because a lot of her attacks are like staggering, like the icicles and the lightning bolts, and the fireballs that she throws your way and different things, you might think that, oh, going for a balance setup here would be worth it. However, the reality is those attacks don't really come out in such a frequency where you're trying to just sit there and attack her, and you need to like power through each of those balance attacks. So we'll get into that. So also, I want you to look at our Ichor drain here, 1.33. If we go for blood-sucking blades, it turns into 1.87. And then if we go for eel, then this 1.87 turns into 1.08. Now you'll notice that we have a very low dark value, so you might think, oh well, that's not that great. You definitely want to be using Hunting Feast since it's a straight up 50% increase, and you might be right. So 1.89, so it's definitely higher. But then when we go for EO, because of how the math works out with a multiplicative value of your drain, this actually turns into a lower value of 1.04. So it's higher before using EO and it's lower after using EO. So here what we're going to be using, we're going to be going for blood-sucking blades, because this way we end up with a higher overall drain rating at the end. And you'll see here when we get into the fight, the cool thing is that we can kind of go for EO partway through the fight, and we don't have to really engage too much in a drastic way here. So even though we are invincible here, the funny thing is that there's not really a lot of you know, opportunities here for us to get staggered. And you'll see here that we were in animation there, and we got and we're still getting staggered, and we still have pretty decent overall ability there. And see, we're still getting staggered by these lightning bolts. There we did not get staggered. So it has a few benefits here and there. It's not crazy, and you can see there that a knockdown is still a knockdown. And you can see here we are still staggered by those ice crystals there. So let's go ahead and heal up, just because. Alright, let's get this going. And let's get our blood and ice going again, because very important. And of course, cleansing our wall, elemental wall, had to end right then and there. And the knockdown is still a knockdown, so there's nothing we can do about that there. It's just always going to be a knockdown. Okay, and you can see that there's nothing we can do about that. So unfortunate, but that's how it be. And we can go for a little bit of abilities there if we want to. Okay, so let's get all these going again. And elemental wall is not going to be up for cooldown here with gift extension. And you can see that all of that stagger lock there is just how it goes, you know? Okay, and let's go ahead and heal up here a little bit. 1 and 2, and let's get some of these going again here. Whoops. Okay, good. And gift extension and elemental wall, and that's fine. EO, hang in there. Alright. You can see a stagger and a knockdown is still such. We're able to not get knocked down though during that attack. Okay, so that's phase 1. So there are still a bunch of knockdowns and staggers that you really can't mitigate too much. It's kind of a misnomer in a sense to be able to get enough balance here in that fight. The more important thing here is that you go for the elemental resistances to make sure that you are, you know, up and ready in a position where you can actually be invincible to the fight instead of going for a more balance focused setup here. This is not, you know, Aurora's cup of tea here to be going for balance anything. It doesn't really help you as much as you might think. The more important thing is to just get all of the available elemental resistances that you possibly can. And the reason being is because here on Perseus, you are at a 160 across the board on all of your elemental resistances, and so you're able to completely negate each one of those attacks, with the ice crystals being the very much on the line here because it's at 160 exactly. If we were 161, we would have a much better resistance there. And so keep that in mind as you go for Aurora fights. Staggering is not exactly the thing you want to be going for because she has so many knockdowns, and there's nothing you can do to mitigate a knockdown. If it's listed as a knockdown attack, it's always going to knock you down, regardless of what you do for balance and such. So keep that in mind. And she has the blood pillars, she has the flame and lightning laser beams, she has the fire explosion, she has some of the lightning balls, like fourfold verdict. Those will stagger you and put you down on one knee pretty hard. Those you can sort of mitigate, and then later on in phase 2, 3 here, whatever, she will have a couple more knockdowns. So she's got knockdowns for days, and you want to watch out for those as you get into this area here. And you don't want to be building really for balance, but it's okay. For like 2 or 3 of her attacks, the lightning pillars, you can mitigate those from what's it called? Yeah, Indra's coil. You can mitigate those pillars, but you can't mitigate most of the other things. The ice crystals, as you saw, they still stagger you, and there's not much you can do there. So going for balance against Aurora is not advised here for phase 1. So, okay, that'll be it for today. Thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow for phase 2. Have a good day. Bye.